What's up, entrepreneurs? Brand with Credit here, back with another video, and today I'm going to teach you guys how to create a logo. Some designers create logos in Photoshop. I use Adobe Illustrator, and you can check out my video on Photoshop versus Illustrator for logo design to find out why. After you watch this video though. The first thing we want to do is open up Adobe Illustrator, and I'm using the latest Adobe CC version, so make sure you are as well. If you need to update, go ahead and pause the video to get the latest version. So we're going to create a new document. And let's make that document 12 by 12 with a color mode of CMYK. And then you're going to click Create. Now we're in our document, which is also called an artboard. And before you start, make sure you're in the Essentials Classic Workspace. And you can do that by going up to Window, then click Workspace, and then click Essentials Classic. So because it's going to be a text-based logo, the focus is going to be on the font. And since I create a lot for coaches, consultants, and expert service providers, I'm going to create a logo for a well-established relationship coach who works with women. So the first thing we're going to do is type out the name of the coach. So let's call her Fallon Porter. So we want to click the type tool and type out Fallon Porter, and it's in its own layer. So layers help you keep your work organized. And at this point, I'm just pre-planning the logo. I'm also going to type out Fallon's title, Relationship Coach, in a new layer. So I'm going to create the new layer. I'm going to click on Type Tool and type out Relationship Coach. Now, some coaches like to use taglines or keywords about their services in their logos. So let's just say that Fallon might want to do that, right? So I'm going to create a new layer, click on the type tool, and type out her keywords. So we'll just say accountability, empowerment, and reward. So now we have the basics done. Her name, what she does, and we even have keywords if we want to add those to her logo as well. Now I'm going to select these lines and move them off of the artboard to give me more space to create. So to select them, I'm going to click on the selection tool if it's not already clicked or selected. I'm going to click in the document and I'm going to hold and drag around everything I just typed and then move it off of the artboard. So now I'm going to find fonts that's going to bring this logo together based on what she does. So this is where your brand strategy comes into play, because you want to find fonts that resonate with your brand and your brand personality to create a deep connection to attract the perfect clients. So let's just say that Fallon is the lover archetype brand where she values warmth, love, and intimacy. So I'm going to find a font that represents just that for Fallon. Now, before I find the font for Fallon, I'm going to add a new layer. I'm going to click on her name from the outside of the document of the artboard. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to make sure I am in the new layer, and then I'm going to paste it onto the artboard. So I'm going to move it up a bit by selecting it. I'm going to click on it and move it up a little bit. I'm going to enlarge it by grabbing the side of the bounding box. I'm going to hold down the shift button and I'm going to increase it to a size that I can work with. And I'm also going to move it to the side a little bit so I can see it as I'm going through the fonts. So let's take a look at the fonts. So when I think of a love coach, I think of a couple things when it comes to fonts. I think of a really nice handwritten or script font, and I also think of a really nice modern sans serif font. And because Fallon is a relationship coach who's personable, I want to use a script font because script fonts are personable and they're feminine. And since she works with women, this is going to work. So here's a quick font tip. You can filter what types of fonts you want to see the words in by clicking on filters. And here's where you can like change the classification of the font that you're looking for. You can even filter how thick you want the font to be, if you want it to be compressed or condensed or anything like that. But we're going to click on the handwritten script font filter. And another quick tip, when you're using a font for logo design, make sure you have the correct font license. There are some desktop fonts that'll allow you to create logos. It'll allow you to use the fonts on websites and apps. But there are some fonts that need a commercial license for logo creation, specifically if you're selling a product using that font. So always check. I also do not recommend using free fonts for logo design because if it needs to be trademarked, it may get rejected, which goes back to the font license. And there's so much different information out there about trademarks and free fonts. So my recommendation is to pay for your fonts. And again, make sure you have the correct license. So I've used the filter in Illustrator to see my script or handwritten font. And the one that I feel represents Fallon the best is the RLE font. And that's nice. It's really nice. But I want to play around with it a little bit. I want to play around with the spacing a little bit. So here's where your creativity has to shine through. So I'm going to erase Porter by highlighting it. I'm going to click the selection tool again just so it's selected. I'm going to copy Fallon by going to edit and copy. And then I'm going to paste it in place. And then I'm going to slide it over by holding down the shift button and clicking the right arrow button until I get it into a space that I like. And then I'm going to double click on it to highlight it again, and I'm going to retype Porter. Yes, Fallon. Yes, this is good. And I see a lot of coaches who use script fonts, so we want to make Fallon stand out just a bit. So let's add a little bit more creativity to it. Let's transform it a little bit more. So here we can do so many things. So I can add the words relationship coaching. I can even add the words relationship coach. Or I can add her specialty words, accountability, empowerment, and reward. But for this logo, I think I'm just going to add her specialty words just to make her stand out a little bit. But instead of using a script font again, I'm going to use a sans serif font because that sans serif font is what adds a modern feel to it.
Oh.
So since I have her specialty words on the outside of my artboard, I'm just going to copy and paste them onto my artboard in a new layer and move them up under her name. Now this default font, it is a sans serif font, but it doesn't look too modern to me, especially for Fallon's logo, so I'm going to change it. So the same way that I filtered the fonts for the script handwritten font, I'm going to click filter. I'm going to deselect the script handwritten classification and click on the sans serif classification. So the only fonts that I see are the sans serif ones. So let's choose the Lotto font or the Lado font or the Lato font, whichever way you like to pronounce it. And we're going to choose the one with the semi-bold weight. It's nice, it's clean, it's modern, but I still think it needs to stand out a little bit more. So let's put it in all caps. So to make it all caps without having to type everything over, we're going to click characters, and that's next to the font selection, and click the two capital T's that are right next to each other. When you hover over it, it's going to say all caps, and then you're going to click it and it's going to change. but I don't like the commas in there. So I'm going to actually add bullet points in between her specialty words. So I'm going to click next to accountability, and I'm going to hold down the Alt button and type 0143 while I'm holding down the Alt button, and that'll add a bullet point. And I'm going to do that in between all of her specialty words, and then I'm going to remove the word "and" so I can put that bullet point in there as well. So the next thing I'm going to do is create outlines on the fonts. And the reason that we create outlines is in case you have to share your logo with someone who doesn't have your particular font on their computer. And this should be done once you love the logo and you're ready to begin finalizing and adding colors. Because if you outline it before you finalize it and you need to change anything, you're going to have to recreate the design. So yes, please make sure you love the logo first. Since it's all text-based, I'm going to select everything by creating that bounding box, and then I'm going to go up here to type, and I'm going to click Create Outlines. Now, if you look at that script font, you'll notice that the letters aren't connected. Well, you probably can't see it, so let me make it bigger real quick. Sorry about that. So I'm going to enlarge it by selecting everything with the bounding box, holding down the Shift button, and dragging the outside of the bounding box to the size that I like the logo to be. And the reason I use the Shift button is so it doesn't look stretched. And as a beginner, you should always want to keep the correct dimensions of your fonts. Now you should be able to notice that the letters aren't connected. And you don't want that. You want a smooth logo. So I'm going to connect those letters. Now, in order to connect the letters, we're going to create that bounding box again, and then I'm going to go up to Window. I'm going to click Pathfinder. Mine is already up here, and then I'm going to click the first shape mode. It's called Unite. Now, this only happens with script fonts, but if you're designing a logo where the letters are on top of each other, or you're creating a shape with letters, you can use the Unite mode to bring them together as well. So now I want to center everything. So I'm going to create that bounding box around everything again. I'm going to go up to Horizontal Align Center. I'm going to click it, and everything is centered. So I'm going to play around with the sizing a little bit here, specifically the sizing for her specialty words. So I'm going to click in the layer where the specialty words are, and I'm going to resize it so it balances out the logo design. And remember, with resizing, you want to hold down the Shift button, and I'm going to do that while I drag the bounding box so I don't stretch the words. I'm going to play around with the placement a little bit, center everything again. I'm not sure why I didn't just select everything and center it, but nevertheless, it's centered. And then there's Fallon's logo in black and white. Quick side note, I didn't add any color yet because logos should be strong in black and white before any color is added. And you can check out my colors and logo design video for the goods on that. This looks great. Fallon loves it. So now it's time to add some color. So I remember I told you that her brand archetype was the lover archetype. Well, I've already created a color palette for Fallon based on her lover archetype. So now I'm going to create a new layer for Fallon's color palette that I've already created. I'm going to add it to this file. So I'm going to go up to File, go down to Place, and then this is going to open up my files. So I'm going to select the color palette out of my files, and I'm going to place it outside of the document or the artboard. And then I'm going to go up to the top here and click Embed so it doesn't have those X's in it, and I can do what I need to do with it pretty smoothly. You can learn more about color palettes and color palettes for your brand in my video called Color Palettes for Your Brand, and that link is in the description. So to add color to Fallon's logo, I'm going to make sure her name is selected. And then I'm going to go over here to the eyedropper tool, and I'm going to click in the color in the palette that I want Fallon's name to be. And I'm going to do the same for her specialty words. I think the colors look great. I think they represent Fallon well as a relationship coach. Fallon loves it. So presenting to you, Miss Fallon Porter, accountability, empowerment, and reward. Remember, before any logo design is created, it should be based around your complete brand strategy, which includes your brand persona or personality, among other important brand elements. If you're not sure about your brand's personality, go ahead, take my brand personality quiz to find your unique brand archetype to apply it to your brand strategy and discover your unique traits to be able to attract your ideal clients. And that quiz is at brandwithkreda.com/brand personality quiz. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.